This video is sponsored by and available on ProtoPlay, an alternative video hosting platform supporting creative freedom for both content creators and viewers alike. For a limited time only, ProtoPlay is offering a lifetime premium membership featuring things like custom themes, high-quality image sharing, and even adless browsing. Take advantage of this opportunity by using the link below, or check out the app available on Apple and Android devices. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to our latest episode of Kombat Tips. A little bit late, but Happy New Year to you all. I think it's been about 2 months since I've posted my last video, but here we are, kicking off 2022 with Dvorah. As is traditional with these videos, folks, if there's any particular brutality you're looking for today, feel free to hop on down below to either the description, the timeline, or the comments where you can find timestamps that will let you skip to anything I feature in today's video. And should any of the buttons I mentioned today not entirely make sense to your particular controller, feel free to use this conversion guide right here, and that'll allow you to take anything I say in today's tutorial and convert it onto any platform currently hosting Mortal Kombat 11. So let's buzz our way on over to the cosmetic screen here, folks, and that is of course to show you that as of this video's release date, we currently have all 25 out of 25 finishers for Dvorah, which means today's video is going to be featuring 11 different brutalities. Now, I always start off these tutorials with the Klassic, but if there's any particular brutality you've come here to learn today, remember, hit up those timestamps below, and they should get you where you gotta go. It's cool to see Dvorah finally getting some love from the community, folks. If you guys are looking for some freaky finishers, today is definitely gonna be your day. Now, of course, the Klassic. For this particular brutality, you want to make sure you do not block an attack during the final round. And to clarify, the final round can be either rounds 2 or 3, just whichever round you as a player are going to be victorious on. Next up, you just want to make sure you finish your opponent with an uppercut, and while that's happening, hold either Y or triangle on your respective controller. Well, before we even get into the uppercut, I do want to note that Robocop's hand for some reason is floating at... Okay, well, as you can see, it was floating, then it reattached itself, and then it flew away again. What? Anyways, folks, the uppercut. Down Y or down triangle, and you should get, boom, a classic move. Now, something I like to mention with this particular brutality is boom. As you can see, I am blocking here, even though we are on round 2 here, and this is going to be my victorious round. But the reason I can block is because I'm not actually taking damage. And I'm not suggesting that you block at all, but more so I mention it because personally, I'm a little reflexive. Sometimes I hit that block button, and pretty much if you're the same way and you remember to just take your finger off that button and don't actually take damage while you're blocking, you can still do this brutality. So let's wrap this one up, folks. Remember, do not block any damage on the final round, then finish your opponent with an uppercut while holding either Y or triangle. Let's go for it. Classic. So next up we have the Yuck brutality, and this one is thankfully pretty straightforward. All you gotta do is hit your opponent at least 3 times with that swarm ability, and then when you go to finish your opponent, use yet another swarm. So our swarm itself is gonna be back forward B or back forward circle, and as you can see, there we have it. Now for clarification's sake, let's go ahead and get all 3. There's 1, there's 2, and last but not least, our 3rd. That's all there is to this one, folks. Remember, connect at least 3 swarms, and then go ahead and finish your opponent. Oof. With yet another swarm. Oh. This one's gross, and exactly what I would expect from a bug. I think it fits her perfectly. So our next brutality is called Come My Child. And for this one in particular, you are going to have to finish your opponent with the Infested ability. However, it has to first be at the end of a 5-hit combo. Alright, so keep that in mind. You can only do this brutality if you perform a 5-hit combo ending with the Infested ability. Let's go for it. So before we get into our combo, I just want to talk about the Infested ability, and that is down forward Y or down forward triangle. And as you can see, boom, it is not going to hit the opponent, and that is because it is an anti-air. So of course, let's get our opponent up in the sky, and as you can see, now it works good and in all its gross glory. Now let's talk about our combo. As you can see over here, I do have some buttons on screen, a couple inputs. Don't worry, I'm going to take it one by one and show you how to string this along, starting with the botfly move. That is going to be forward X and then A, or forward square and then X, and it should look just like that. The next ability in our string is the ground swarm, and that is going to be down back X and then right button, or down back square and R1, and it should look like that right there. It's going to send our opponent up in the sky and allow us to string them along further. Now once our opponent is up in the air, we're going to want to be using the bug bash ability, and that is forward X or forward square, and it's going to look just like that. And then last but not least, of course, in that string is going to be the infested ability, of which we demonstrated earlier. So let's get right to the beginning of it and demonstrate how this combo should work. So let's start off by connecting the botfly and amplified ground swarm, and that should look like that combined with that right there. Now again, after you've knocked your opponent up in the air with that ground swarm, you're going to want to use the bug bash, and connecting that along too should look like that right there to finish our opponent. Remember, hit them with the bug bash, and again, follow it up with that infested. Altogether, it should look a little something like that right there, folks. And that ends up being a 6-hit combo, and will definitely get this Brutality to activate. So hopefully that combo is all good and settled for you folks. Remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask on down below. But that said, let's finish our opponent here. Remember, get a 5-hit combo ending with infested. Let's go for it. Injected through the face, hatched right through the chest. And now he's just getting chewed up for the rest of his unfortunate existence. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Next up, something a little bit simpler, the Devoured Brutality. Now for this one, all you gotta do is make sure your final hit comes from the Firefly's ability, and while that's happening, hold either X or square on your respective controller. So for the Fireflies, you're gonna wanna use back forward X or back forward square, and it should look simple as that. Again, my friends, very easy. Finish your opponent with that Firefly ability. Hold X or square while you're doing it, and it should look a little something like that. Oh! Again, it's all body horror, which is awesome. It is so unique to her, and the ability that she has those bugs to hatch from the body. Plus, you know, when I first did this particular Brutality, I was not expecting that result at all. Our next Brutality is called Walking in the Spiderwebs. Now for this one, you will require the Widow's Kiss ability, so of course please do have that good to go in your arsenal before we continue. Now before you can perform this Brutality, you must first perform a Mercy, and if you don't know how to do that, I will of course display that in just a moment. But after you have performed your Mercy, you want to make sure you finish your opponent with the amplified Widow's Kiss. So let's start simple. A basic Widow's Kiss should be down back A or down back X, and it will look a little bit like that right there. Now let's go ahead and amplify that by tapping R1 or right button after we've connected with the opponent, and it should look like that. You've probably seen that plenty of times if you fought Dvorahs online. So now let's talk about our Mercy. For me personally, I do this in 3 mental steps. The first step being that you have to beat your opponent onto the finish him screen. Step 2 is you need to get to medium distance. If you happen to be right up against the opponent and do 2 back dashes, 1, 2, boom, you are now at medium distance. Now while we're at medium distance, we're going to want to hold the flip stance button, which is usually L2 or left trigger. Boom. This one makes you dance when you spam it. That is the flip stance button. Hold that down. Now you're going to want to also push down 3 times very quickly. 1, 2, 3. And after that third downwards press, let go of the flip stance button, and you should be able to activate your Mercy. But let me go ahead and give you a live demonstration. So again, get your opponent onto the finish him screen like so. We're We're going to do our 2 back dashes to get to medium distance, holding flip stance, 1, 2, 3, and then I let go, and it is that simple. With the Mercy out of the way, folks, the only bit of criteria we have left is to finish your opponent with that amplified Widow's Kiss. Let's go for it. Oh. 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 It's so foul. So our next brutality is called Belly Buster, and it will require that you have the Parasite ability in your arsenal, so as usual, have that good to go, and we can proceed. Once you're good and set up, all you gotta do is use a singular stage interactable at any point during the match. It does not matter if it is offensive or defensive, both will count towards this brutality. Once that's out of the way though, finish your opponent with that Parasite combo. So for our Parasite combo, folks, that's going to be X, Y, then X and A at the same time, or square, triangle, and square and X at the same time. And it should look just like that. As for our stage interactable, these will of course vary based on where you're fighting, but again, it does not matter if it's offensive or defensive. Right here, boom, R1, right button on any of the things in the stage that blink like so, and there you have it. But that's about it for this one, folks. Once that stage interactable is out of the way, simply finish your opponent with that Parasite combo, and it should look a little something like that right there. There you have it. Oh, jeez, look at his hand over on the side there. That's totally unnatural, but next up we have the Buggin Out brutality. Now for this one, you're going to want to finish your opponent with a towards throw while pushing down at least 3 times, or as I suggest with brutalities like this, spam down as fast as you can. So for a towards throw, simply move towards the opponent and tap L1 or left button, boom, like so. And as you can see, we have now gotten our towards throw. If you prefer arcade style inputs, you can also use square and X at the same time, or X and A at the same time while moving towards the opponent. And boom, there you go, you'll still get a towards throw. I'd say that sums this one up though, folks. Remember, just finish your opponent with that towards throw and push down at least 3 times, or as I'm gonna do, spam down as fast as you can. Let's go for it. Spamming down. Nasty. I don't even know what to make of all of this, like, yellow fluid. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's just disgusting altogether. Plus, again, with this robo glitch we've been having this entire time, that floating hand just adds to the drama. It's almost like he's, again, reaching out and being like, help! I don't know, folks. On to the next one. Next up, we have the No Guts, No Glory brutality. For this particular one, you're going to want to make sure you do not land a fatal blow at any point throughout the match. Just do not use it. It is, again, that cinematic move usually activated by hitting both back triggers. Don't even use it throughout the fight if you plan to use this brutality. Assuming you haven't, though, you simply want to finish your opponent with a back throw, and while that's happening, also hold backwards on the controller. Let's go for it. Now, when it comes to a back throw, you do not even have to push any directions at all, not even back, to get it to work. It is always a back throw by default if you just use the throw input, which again is L1, like so. And there you go, there's our back throw. Same works for the arcade style inputs, no directions required, square and X at the same time, or X and A at the same time. And again, you'll get your back throw. Very easy. That's all to this one though, folks. Remember, do not land a fatal blow at any point throughout the match. As a reminder, it is that big red flashy move you see up there on RoboCop's side. Do not use yours if you plan to do this brutality. And then simply finish your opponent with a back throw while holding back. Let's go for it. Rough. Next up is the creepy crawler brutality. Now for this one, you need to make sure that you get the first hit in the match. Otherwise, you unfortunately will forfeit the ability to perform this one. Assuming you do that though, when you go to finish the opponent, you also have to have more than 50% of your HP remaining, so keep that in mind as well. And then last, but certainly not least, finish your opponent themselves with the Killer Bee combo. So remember, we got to get the first hit in this match. It does not matter how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and just give him a general punch, and boom. As you can see over there, first hit props. If you see that underneath your personal health bar, that means you have successfully gotten the first hit in the match. Next up is our Killer Bee combo, and that's going to be back A and then B, or back X and then circle, and it should look like that right there. Creepy crawly. Time to finish off our opponent with this one, folks. Remember, you just want to get the first hit in the match, have more than 50% of your HP remaining, which, by the way, if you look at the health here, you can see a small little notch with a hump over it. That is the 50% mark, so as long as you are above that, you are good to go. And last but not least, finish your opponent with that Killer Bee combo, which should look a little something like that right there. Again, this is definitely more in the hands-on, just direct brutality that Dvorah can do in terms of moves. I wouldn't say this one's any too crazy, though I do like how they use that crawling ability, but when it comes to this particular animation, we've definitely seen it before. Next up, we have the Entomophobia brutality. Now this one will require that you defeat your opponent with the amplified ground swarm ability, and while that's happening, simply hold up. Now when it comes to ground swarm, you're going to want to use down back X or down back square, and you should get that little explosion right there. Now by pushing forwards or backwards, you can actually manipulate how far away the ground swarm is. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the normal one here, and as you can see, it is about medium distance. I'm going to push backwards now after the ground swarm is summoned, and you can see it's closer to me, and now I'm going to push further after the ground swarm is summoned, and again, boom, it is much further away, of course, to hit the opponent. So just keep this in mind if you want to manipulate the battlefield. Now when it comes to finishing the opponent, you're going to want to use the amplified ground swarm. So make sure you tap R1 or right button just as that ground swarm's popping off, and you should get that right there. We did actually cover this a little earlier in a prior brutality. Let's put this brutality to rest, folks. Remember, finish your opponent with that amplified ground swarm and hold up while you're doing it. Oh. Picked clean. I like how the swarm itself just gets massive after you actually summon it. A very nice feature. It almost surprised me the first time I saw it, like a scare, because I was not expecting such a loud noise accompanied with such a big swarm, but I think it again works out very well and represents brutalities that Dvorah should have in general. So our last brutality for today, folks, is called Spreading Out. Now this one is quite straightforward. All you gotta do is finish your opponent with a towards throw, much like one of our earlier brutalities, but this time we're going to push up during the final hit. So remember, folks, a towards throw is very simple. Walk towards the opponent and tap L1 or left button, and there you go. Same goes for the arcade style inputs. Walk towards your opponent, X and A at the same time, or square and X at the same time, and you should get your towards throw. It's as simple as that, folks. Finish your opponent with that towards throw while holding up. Let's go for it. And there we have it, folks. Yet another successful tutorial. So there we have it, folks. Dvorah is finally in our brutality collection. Very happy to have her here. Her brutalities are quite a gruesome mix of bug-infested tomfoolery, but I thought they were pretty cool, very nasty, and they of course fit her theme pretty properly, so well done in that department. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to let me know down below, either in the form of a like or a comment. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out exactly when more content like this goes live. That's going to wrap it up for today, though, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos when I do manage to get them onto YouTube. Additionally, remember, let me know down below who you want to see in the next couple videos if I can help it. I'm definitely trying to at least put out one video for every character by the end of, Mortal Kombat 11's lifespan, so to speak. I know the kind of game's done being worked on now, and it sounds like maybe even 12's in creation. But you know what I mean. I just want to keep working on it and try to get at least one video out for each character so they all have some form of representation in the world of brutalities. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Thank you once again for joining me. And until then, stay safe, stay happy, and adios, my friends.